Bedford in Hampshire, on the border with Berkshire, and because there wasn't much else to do in over the last year or so, it's been pretty much stay outdoors really for my entertainment, for my leisure. It's made me reappraise what I feel about the landscape. I've sort of returned to an archaeological, historical viewpoint towards my surroundings. You know, with the aid of maps and analysis and reading archaeological reports and sort of county histories and so on, you can reappraise the landscape around you, which is why I'm here in Silchester. One of the methods it's not so much I've been developing. Scholars have developed a lot of understandings about the ancient landscape by looking at what the Anglo-Saxons wrote about, which is pretty much one of our oldest ways of recording the landscape. Old Saxon charters, they only recorded the boundaries, because in England nothing is more important than property. They didn't record what was in the middle, only what was on the outside. You know, you stay out of my land, you know. And what they do is walk around those boundaries with those landmarks and with witnesses, and that was your property, and the other man's property was on the other side of those boundaries. We know very little about their inner lives. Well, no, we do. Well, we do in such thing as poetry. We've got a lot of Anglo-Saxon poetry, but a lot of things are uncomfortable about that approach. A lot of this stuff was done in sort of the 19th century, in the first half of the 20th, and then we had the Second World War. And you can see that, because you can see there was a readjustment, because a lot of people thought about our ancient landscapes in terms of sort of semi-Arthurian stuff, about a romantic notion of Romano Britain struggling on against all enemies, you know, the dying of the light of civilization, all the rest of it, when beforehand it was all in Old English. But even today I was looking at a magic spell to deal with swarms of bees, which you would have thought was a perfectly quite a sweet thing to look at, but there were some awful words in. I'm learning Old English. I'm very poor at it. But there's words like Siegwither and things like this, which basically means translated as victory women. You know, the women part is fine, but the word Sieg just fills me with horror, because I was educated by people who had been through the war. And when you think of the English as England as being a Rika, a Reich, and all this sort of stuff, and you start straying into extreme right-wing blood and honour, blood and soil stuff, which you don't want to, liberals and people on the left just don't want to deal with. But nonetheless, I still need to find out about our own history and our own past. There's not. People talk of the Germanic peoples as being an heroic age, when all it really is about lack of boundaries, self-fulfillment, trickery, lying, murder and rape. There isn't much good in there, but then you see quite a lot of, whereas Roman life at least had a strong sense of, there were moral philosophies and public spending on, you know, like fresh water would come into cities for every household, all this sort of stuff. Whereas the Germanic peoples, the Anglo-Saxons, were just entirely self-sufficient, selfish, didn't maintain the roads and all the rest of it. So it's quite uncomfortable but necessary to face up to this. Even my learning Old English is causing me, you know, do I really want to do this? And I do, because I want to find out what our ancient peoples thought about their landscape. And I'm just going to have to hold my breath. You know, just going to have to hold it in every time I come across some values I find repugnant. This is Caliva atrebatum, or Silchester. It was originally, well, atrebatum is the tribe that controlled this area, and Caliva was what, before the Romans came here, is what they called it. And so it goes to show, okay, this is permanent. You can see it. It's really well made. You've got courses. You've got courses going along here of flatter bricks, and then you've got stones, and you've got the local stone, the local flint in between, and you've got concrete. So there's all high technological stuff, all of which disappeared when the Anglo-Saxons took over. So the permanence was, there was permanence here, so it's here to this day. But it's the settlement collapsed immediately at the end of the Roman Empire in Britain. So so it just goes to, you know, the monumental effort to create this. Master craftsmen, huge amounts of resources, really impressive state organisation to make all that happen. And it probably wasn't the Anglo-Saxons that brought all that to an end. They probably brought it to an end themselves. There was more than one rebellion, some of which came from rebellious pretender emperors from Britain, including the Welsh hero Maxen Llewellyn, something like that. I apologise to Welsh speakers for that awful pronunciation. But it was, they brought themselves to their knees, and the Anglo-Saxons saw a chance and came in, took over. What's interesting is that you would have thought, if I was a king of an Anglo-Saxon tribe, I would have taken this enormous high status civitate and make it my own, but they saw no reason for it at all. They were just seeking new lands and treasure and so on. Running a well-organised state was not in their interest at that time. Later on, the Anglo-Saxon state of England becomes the taxation pride of Europe, but at this time it's just gone. It just immediately went to rack and ruin. Anyway. Roman society was a market economy with manufacturing and all the rest of it. Anglo-Saxon economy was self-sufficient, subsistence farming. It soon, was part of an international, network across the North Sea. We know that from Beowulf and from the beautiful works of art they produce. But I just wanted to mention that a lot of Roman society disappeared. So all of the buildings in this city disappeared. There were obviously the locals wanted to use the stone and wanted to plough this field, use this land for what, for that subsistence farming I was talking about. But and as the population expanded, but there's another place down the road. There's a road directly from here to Bath, and there's a major town that did have massive fortifications like this that has completely disappeared off the map. It's not disappeared off the map, it's just disappeared off the face of the earth. There are no walls, stone walls like this, when there were in the 300s. But all of the stone was taken. It completely wiped out. It had no existence at all. So it just goes to show that probably, yes, some Roman roads were used by the Anglo-Saxons. We still use them today, the Fosse Way. But in the main, civilization just was pretty much obliterated. We went back to subsistence farming. Um, some parts of Roman civilization existed, for example the Roman Church, Christianity in Ireland, the north of England, north of Britain and so on. Christianity kept knowledge and statecraft alive enough for a few generations to teach the barbarians, but as it was mentioned on a TV programme, a BBC TV programme I saw the other day, we made it by the skin of our teeth, and I think that's quite a telling phrase. That might be a tessera or tesserum or whatever it is. It's not high status. It's just terracotta. Bingo! I got yeah, that's Roman. It's a bit of rim, greyware or it's burnished, black burnished ware, isn't it? Fantastic. It's burnished, i.e. polished up with a stone. Can you see that shininess there? And fantastic. That's beautiful. I wish I could take that home with me, but unfortunately that belongs to the state. But that is a nice little fun. This just goes to show I've been doing this for about 20 minutes now, and you do come up with stuff that's really interesting. But this wasn't dug up by me. This was dug up by a rabbit or a badger or whatever, and I just lifted it off the ground. I'm going to put it back on the ground. Oh, I just want to keep looking at it now. So smashing. Well, that's my little day out to Silchester, Cleaver, Attrobaton. I think I've covered everything. Yes, the collapse of civilization, a new order under the Anglo-Saxons, the pretty much a hiatus in civilization, and I've just found some greyware, a nice bit of black burnished ware with a nice big fat rim. I'm really gutted I can't take that with me, but I would say there was there's some other greyware and a little bit of Samian, I think. I'm no expert, I am an amateur, but my task is to read lots of books, go out in the field, and enjoy myself making discoveries about our past, which you can do too. So I'll see you on the next one. Ta-da for now.